In the cold northern waters of the Atlantic, massive steel ships of European fishermen silently cut through the waves in the morning mist, preparing for a journey to catch halibut, a flat, highly valuable fish. On deck, men wearing waterproof protective clothing carefully prepared the longline system, each line carrying hundreds of hooks baited with small fish, neatly arranged in containers for easy deployment into the deep. As the ship moved into deeper, colder waters, the captain gave the order to deploy the lines. Each segment slid smoothly through the pulleys and sank into the dark blue waters. Floats were released at intervals to mark positions, while hundreds of hooks hovered near the seabed, waiting for large halibut to swim by. Time passed slowly amidst the crashing waves and whistling wind, the salty smell of the sea mingling with engine oil. A few hours later, the crew began hauling in the lines.
Put those rest of our salmon, take a hole, put them in there.
There's the whole tub in there?
Yeah, we'll put them in those yellow things so they can start draining. Yeah. Put some ice on top of them.
Their hands, calloused and cold, tugged on the heavy ropes. Suddenly, a hook tightened, the line vibrated violently, a sign that a massive halibut had bitten. Everyone pulled together, the rope slipping through their hands, and from the water emerged a huge flat fish, shimmering silver in the sunlight. The halibut thrashed violently, water splashing across the deck. Immediately, a fisherman struck the fish on the head with a wooden mallet to quickly end its life, ensuring the flesh remained unbruised. As the fish lay still, the butchering began. It was placed on a metal table, and long sharp knives sliced along the backbone, separating the thick, pink-white fillets neatly, with none of the flesh wasted. Another crew member rinsed the blood with cold seawater to keep the meat fresh. The fillets were stacked in stainless steel containers.
Darcy over here, he's getting our bait ready. Cal's back here, re-rigging, getting our next set ready. Dusty here is going to walk you through on how to gut one of these big fish. Ooh, slightly breezy. He's not really used to working in these kind of conditions. Any kind of rain or wind at the refinery, he just goes ahead and goes inside and plays all the computers. So it's kind of new to him.
Ready to be lowered into deep freezers at -40 degrees Celsius. The scent of blood mixed with the salty sea and the metallic clangs of the ship created the distinctive music of life aboard a distant fishing vessel. Outside, the sea remained cold and rough, but work on deck continued relentlessly. Men coiled lines, prepared bait, and readied for the next haul. Each halibut hauled aboard was the result of patience, strength, and skill honed over years at sea. As the ship returned to port at night, the glow of the harbor lights reflected on the icy water, and hundreds of frozen halibut crates sparkled. Fishermen continued their work, their hands cracked and trembling from the cold, arranging the fish neatly, while in a nearby processing shed, workers in white coats and hairnets began cleaning and sorting. Large halibut were placed on long cutting tables, sharp knives slid through smooth flesh. Separating perfect fillets. The fish meat, pale and firm yet tender, was highly prized by upscale restaurants. Each fillet was rinsed with cold brine, wrapped in vacuum packaging to preserve freshness. Automatic labeling machines recorded the origin, weight, catch date, and vessel name. Behind them, deep freezers dropped temperatures to -50 degrees Celsius to maintain peak freshness. Thick, Tough halibut skin was collected to make waterproof gloves, wallets, and boots, an important supplementary income for the fishermen. Once processed, hundreds of crates were loaded onto refrigerated trucks, bound for export to major ports in Europe and Asia, where the halibut would become sashimi, steaks, or gourmet dishes. Meanwhile, the exhausted fishermen sat beside a small fire along the pier. Sipping strong coffee, recalling the dangerous moments of lines snapping or waves threatening to sweep them overboard. Laughter mixed with the wind, echoing across the dark harbor. They knew they would soon set out to sea again, repeating the familiar routine, dropping lines, hauling fish, butchering, freezing, and packing. The ocean was both a test and a provider. It gave them sustenance and a sense of pride. Under the silver moonlight reflected on the calm sea, the steel ships lay anchored. Yet inside, the rhythm of life aboard continued, preparing for the next journey where each halibut hauled from the depths symbolized courage, skill, and the resilience of men who lived their lives at sea at dawn. The sun painted the ocean golden, and the ship once again moved toward the deep waters where halibut lurked. On deck, fishermen in waterproof jackets and boots checked long lines, hooks,
Oh yeah, you're good.
You know it, Dusty, you know. Hey Darcy, how you doing?
What's up, bro?
How's that Grunion's reindeer working out for you?
and bait, ensuring everything was in perfect order. The captain monitored radar and floats, noting the best positions from previous hauls. The line slipped through the pulleys and sank into the cold depths where massive halibut drifted over sandy bottoms. Hours passed with the crew hauling lines, replacing old hooks, and carefully dropping new ones. Halibut weighing hundreds of kilos struck the bait. The lines tightened as the fish thrashed, splashing water across the deck. The fishermen pulled together, hooks lodged firmly in the gills, and one man struck the fish with a mallet to end its struggle. Preserving the quality of the meat, butchering began immediately. Knives slid along the backbone, separating firm, pink-white fillets, skin, bones, and innards were carefully sorted. Fillets were rinsed with cold seawater and stacked in stainless steel containers for the deep freezer.
There, bud. You know, being on Dusty Outdoors went right to his head, you know, and it's too many celebrities, it's going to cocktail parties. You know, how's your rain gear been doing this year? Pretty good? Yeah. Oh gosh!
Oh, barely got that one aboard.
Near-death experience. Oh.
Valuable organs like eggs and liver were kept for either further processing or as bait for the next haul. The sound of waves, wind, knives hitting metal, and engine hum created the unique rhythm of life at sea. By midday, the hold was filled with halibut, ready for export. The ship turned back to port. Cranes and forklifts offloaded the crates. Workers sorted, packed, and labeled them meticulously. Fishermen rested along the railing, coffee in hand, eyes scanning the distant sea, proud of their labor. They knew that tomorrow, when dawn broke, long lines would again descend into the deep. Halibut would bite, and they would haul, butcher, and package, continuing the demanding yet honorable cycle where the ocean provided both challenge and sustenance. And each halibut symbolized the strength, patience, and courage of men devoted to a life at sea. Night fell again, and the ship drifted amid the vast darkness. Deck lights flickering over frozen crates and coiled lines. Life on board continued, inspecting pulleys, lines, and bait, oiling, and preparing for the next haul. Experienced fishermen worked silently, aware that one mistake could cost a catch. Through the night, they monitored floats and radar, noting positions and conditions. At first light, long lines slipped through the pulleys, sinking into the cold depths where halibut lurked. Hours passed with precise, rhythmic work, hauling, replacing hooks, and preparing new bait. Halibut struck the bait, lines tightened, fish thrashed violently, splashing water across the deck. Hooks lodged into gills. One fisherman struck the fish with a mallet. Preserving meat quality, slicing along the backbone. They separated thick, firm fillets, carefully sorting skin, bones, and organs. Fillets were rinsed, stacked, and lowered into the deep freezer. Valuable organs were set aside. Waves, wind, knives, and engines composed the symphony of life at sea. By high sun, the hold was full. The ship returned to port. Cranes and forklifts offloaded the fish for sorting, packing, and labeling. Fishermen rested along the railing, coffee warming their hands. Eyes on the distant horizon, proud of their labor. They knew tomorrow, the long lines would again descend. Halibut would strike, and the cycle would continue, a relentless yet honorable rhythm of life where the ocean challenged and sustained them. And each halibut hauled bore witness to their strength.
Dude, the collar. I'll barbecue that. Help me flip that.
Patience and courage in a lifetime devoted to the vast sea as dawn broke once again over the endless horizon. The steel vessel creaked and groaned as it cut through the gentle swells of the open sea. The air was sharp and salty, carrying the scent of wet metal and fish, and the deck shimmered with moisture from the morning spray. The fishermen moved with practiced efficiency, checking lines, bait, and hooks, ensuring that every detail was perfect. The captain surveyed the radar screens, marking promising spots where halibut had been plentiful in previous hauls. One by one, long lines slid through the pulleys, disappearing into the deep blue below. Each hook a silent trap waiting for a strike. Hours passed in quiet concentration, broken only by the occasional shout when a line tightened or a halibut thrashed violently at the surface. The fishermen pulled with synchronized effort.
He was hungry. Did you? Yeah, send it back.
Their muscles straining as massive flatfish broke the surface, scales glittering in the pale sunlight. A wooden mallet struck decisively, ending the struggle, and immediately knives were drawn. Each fish was methodically butchered, fillets removed with precision, skin and bones separated and organs carefully preserved for processing or future bait. Cold seawater was poured over the fresh meat to keep it pristine, while stainless steel containers awaited the perfectly cleaned fillets. Ready for the deep freezer, the rhythm of work never ceased. Lines were checked, hooks replaced, and bait prepared for the next strike, while the faint roar of engines and the slap of waves against the hull formed a constant backdrop. Even as the sun climbed high, turning the ocean silver and gold, the fishermen continued their labor, knowing that each fish pulled from the depths represented not just food, but skill. Courage and endurance. By mid-afternoon, the hold was full, the haul heavier than the previous day. The ship slowly turned back toward port, cranes and forklifts waiting to unload the crates of halibut, while the fishermen finally allowed themselves a moment to rest, cups of strong black coffee warming their hands. They gazed out at the shimmering expanse of water, aware that the sea would continue to challenge them, day after day, haul after haul. And yet, in every frozen fillet, in every careful cut, lay the story of a life dedicated to the ocean, a life of patience, courage, and the relentless pursuit of mastery over the vast, unpredictable, and beautiful waters that sustained them. As evening fell, the sky turned a deep, bruised purple, reflecting on the undulating waves like molten metal. The steeled vessel drifted slowly, anchored in a sheltered cove to rest. But the work never truly stopped. Some fishermen were already tending to the maintenance of the longlines, carefully untangling knots and inspecting every hook for chips or rust. Others sharpened knives and cleaned work tables, making sure every tool was ready for the next haul. Even the faint hum of the engine seemed to blend with the rhythm of the sea, creating a quiet symphony of life on the ocean in the dim light of lanterns. The halibut hold was checked repeatedly. Men carefully inspected the frozen fillets, ensuring they were stacked evenly to prevent crushing, and that the temperature remained consistent throughout the deep freezer. Every detail mattered. One mistake could compromise the quality of the catch that would eventually be served as fine sashimi or a gourmet steak thousands of miles away. The cold air stung their skin, but the men worked steadily, driven by experience and the knowledge that the ocean demanded diligence and respect. The night deepened. And the water surrounding the ship turned almost black, hiding the unseen movements of fish below. The fishermen, undeterred, began plotting the next route, using data from previous trips and subtle signs in the water, currents, temperature, bird activity. They calculated where the halibut might be lurking. Each decision was crucial. Even minor miscalculations could mean wasted hours or empty hooks. Lines were prepared, carefully coiled, and hooks baited with precision. The scent of the sea mixed with the metallic tang of tools and the cold air, filling the deck with a pungent yet familiar aroma that spoke of labor, endurance, and survival as the first light of dawn crept across the horizon, painting the sky with pink and gold. The ship slowly set sail once more. Long lines slid through the pulleys into the depths, each hook baited and ready. Disappearing into the unknown. Hours passed with repetitive precision, hauling, striking, butchering, and stacking fillets. Occasionally, a massive halibut would break the surface, tail thrashing violently, forcing all hands to pull in perfect synchronization. The sound of splashing water, the thud of mallets, the steady slicing of knives, and the hum of engines created a continuous, almost hypnotic rhythm. By midday, the hold was overflowing once again. Each fillet was perfectly separated, skinless and clean, stacked in stainless steel containers. Organs were carefully preserved, either as gourmet ingredients or as bait for the next haul. The deck, wet with seawater and spray, reflected the sun, glittering like a sea of diamonds. The fisherman paused briefly to rest and eat. Savoring small bites of dried fish and potatoes, washing it down with black coffee that burned their throats but revived their spirits. Their eyes never left the horizon, for even as they rested, the ocean was alive with motion, ready to challenge them again at any moment as the ship began its journey back to port. Cranes and forklifts waited to offload the day's haul. The men, tired but fulfilled, observed the routine with practiced eyes, ensuring that the frozen fish were handled carefully. The smell of halibut, mixed with seawater and engine oil, clung to everything, their clothes, their hair, even their skin. They knew that the work would begin again at dawn. Each fish pulled from the depths was more than a catch, it was a testament to their skill, endurance, and courage, a reminder that life at sea was a relentless, beautiful, and unforgiving cycle. The following night, a cold wind swept across the deck. Carrying the briny scent of the ocean and the faint metallic tang of steel, the sky was a canvas of stars, mirrored in the dark water below, while the ship gently rolled with the rhythm of the waves. Despite the late hour, the fishermen were awake and alert, knowing that halibut could strike at any time. Some inspected lines for frays, replaced worn hooks, and carefully baited each with fresh fish, while others sharpened knives and polished cutting tables. Every motion was deliberate, precise, born from years of experience on these waters. As midnight approached, A sudden tug on a line snapped everyone into action. The halibut, massive and strong, fought against the pull with astonishing force. Men shouted in unison, heaving in sync as the rope strained against the pulley. Water splashed high onto the deck, soaking jackets and boots, while the fish's tail thrashed violently, creating a chaos of movement. One fisherman, standing firmly with feet braced, struck the halibut with a wooden mallet, ending its struggle instantly. The others quickly began the butchering process. Knives slid cleanly along the backbone. Fillets were removed with care, rinsed with cold sea water, and stacked neatly in stainless steel containers destined for the deep freezer. Skin, bones, and organs were separated methodically. Valuable parts like eggs and liver were set aside for processing or used as bait for the next haul throughout the night. The rhythm repeated, lines deployed, fish caught, fillets cleaned and stored. The sounds of metal clashing, waves lapping, and wind whipping over the deck created a constant backdrop, a symphony of life at sea. Hours passed unnoticed, the men moving with precision and endurance. The hold grew heavy with frozen halibut, each fish a symbol of skill, perseverance, and courage. By early morning, the first pink glow of dawn touched the horizon. The ship turned toward port, filled to capacity. Cranes and forklifts were ready to unload, while the fishermen took a brief rest, sipping hot coffee and exchanging quiet words, their eyes scanning the distant sea. They knew the ocean would continue to challenge them tomorrow, and the day after, but they welcomed it. The sea was their life, their test, and their pride. Each halibut hauled from the deep represented not only sustenance but mastery over an unpredictable world, and every action, from baiting a hook to slicing a fillet, was a testament to the resilience, patience, and courage required to survive and thrive in the vast, unforgiving expanse of the ocean as the new day broke. The sky painted in shades of amber and soft pink. The steel vessel once again steamed toward the deep waters where halibut waited. The air was crisp and biting, carrying the endless scent of salt and seaweed. On deck, the fishermen moved with silent efficiency, donning waterproof jackets and heavy boots, checking every line, hook, and bait with meticulous care. The captain scanned the horizon and consulted radar readings, marking the spots where currents and seabed formations indicated halibut might be lurking. Longlines were deployed with practiced precision, sliding smoothly through the pulleys and sinking into the icy depths. floats bobbed on the surface. Tiny beacons marking the positions of hundreds of hooks hidden below. Hours passed as the crew monitored the lines, hauling in old hooks, replacing bait, and keeping watch for signs of activity. The first strike came suddenly. A massive halibut tugged violently at the line, sending a ripple through the deck. Fishermen shouted in unison, bracing against the strain. Their muscles taut as they heaved together. Water splashed in all directions as the fish fought for freedom, scales glinting in the morning sun with a swift, precise strike of a mallet. The struggle ended, and the halibut lay still. Knives were drawn immediately. The backbone was traced with clean, deliberate cuts. Thick fillets carefully separated from the skin and bones. Cold seawater rinsed the flesh, preserving its pristine color and texture, while organs were sorted for processing or future bait. Stainless steel containers filled rapidly, destined for the deep freezer, their weight growing with each fish. The rhythm of work continued, an unbroken cycle of hauling, striking, butchering, and stacking. Punctuated by the sound of waves, wind, and the hum of engines by mid-afternoon, the hold was overflowing with halibut, ready for transport. The ship turned back toward port, cranes and forklifts waiting to unload the precious catch. Exhausted but proud, the fishermen rested along the railing, cups of steaming coffee warming their hands. They watched the endless expanse of sea, knowing that tomorrow the lines would again descend into the depths, and the cycle would repeat. Each halibut hauled from the ocean was more than a fish, it was a symbol of skill, endurance, and courage, a living testament to the life of men who devoted themselves to the vast, merciless, yet endlessly generous sea. As the afternoon sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the glistening deck, the fishermen prepared for the night shift. Knowing that halibut could strike at any hour, lanterns were lit. Throwing warm yellow pools of light over coiled lines, sharpened knives, and rows of stainless steel containers. The wind picked up, sending sprays of icy sea water across the deck, and the low hum of engines mingled with the creaking of the hull, creating a constant rhythm that the men had grown accustomed to. The long lines were carefully redeployed, sinking silently into the dark depths below. The crew moved in coordinated efficiency, checking hooks, baiting each with precision, and keeping a vigilant eye on the floating markers. Hours passed in tense anticipation, punctuated by the occasional sudden jerk of a line. When a halibut struck, the men leapt into action. The rope tightened violently, the fish thrashing with raw power, sending sheets of water flying across the deck. Every hand pulled in perfect synchronization, the muscles of the fisherman straining. Boots digging into the wet planks. One man struck the fish with a wooden mallet, ending its fight instantly. And the butchering process began without delay. Knives glided along the backbone, separating thick, pink-white fillets from the skin and bones. Each cut was deliberate, precise, aimed at preserving the quality of the meat. Organs were carefully sorted, some kept as premium ingredients, others reserved for bait. The fillets were rinsed with cold seawater and stacked neatly in stainless steel containers, ready to be lowered into the deep freezer. Outside, the dark ocean reflected the lantern light, waves rolling silently but powerfully, a reminder of the vast, untamed world surrounding the ship. Even as night wore on, the work continued in relentless rhythm. Lines were checked, hooks replaced, and new bait prepared. The sounds of the sea, the slap of waves, the hum of engines, the clink of metal, blended with the rhythm of human labor into a continuous symphony of life at sea. By early dawn, the hold was once again filled with halibut, the haul heavy and glistening, a testament to the fisherman's endurance and skill. The ship slowly turned toward port, cranes and forklifts awaiting the arrival of the catch. Exhausted but proud, the crew took a moment to rest, sipping hot coffee, their eyes fixed on the endless horizon. They knew that the next day, the cycle would begin again. Lines would descend into the icy depths, halibut would strike, and the meticulous work of hauling, butchering, and preserving would resume. Every fish pulled from the deep was more than food, it was proof of resilience, courage, and the unwavering connection between men and the sea. A bond forged in the vast. Unpredictable and magnificent expanse of the ocean as dawn broke over the endless expanse of the sea. The steel vessel slid silently through the glassy waves, its hull cutting a steady path toward the deep waters where halibut waited beneath the icy currents. The fishermen moving with precise efficiency, waterproof jackets clinging to their bodies, boots gripping the wet deck as they checked longlines, inspected hooks, baited each with care, and ensured that every pulley and rope was perfectly in place. The captain scanning radar and floating markers to mark spots where previous hauls had been most successful. lines slipping smoothly through the pulleys, sinking into the cold depths where massive halibut drifted over sandy bottoms. Hours passing with relentless focus as the crew monitored every movement, hauled in old hooks, replaced bait, and stayed alert for any sign of a strike. And when the first line tightened, a surge of adrenaline swept across the deck as men heaved together, muscles taut, water spraying in every direction as a huge halibut thrashed violently, scales glinting in the early sunlight. One fisherman striking with a wooden mallet to end the struggle instantly, knives drawn immediately to begin the precise work of butchering, the backbone traced with deliberate cuts, thick, firm fillets separated from skin and bones, organs carefully sorted for processing or as bait for the next haul, fillets rinsed with cold seawater and stacked neatly in stainless steel containers, ready for the deep freezer, the rhythm continuing without pause, lines redeployed, hooks checked and rebaited, the sound of engines humming, waves slapping against the hull, and knives slicing through flesh blending into the constant symphony of life aboard the vessel. Mid-morning passing into high sun as the hold filled with halibut. The ship turning toward port with cranes and forklifts ready to unload. The exhausted but proud fishermen resting along the railings, sipping hot coffee, eyes scanning the distant horizon, aware that tomorrow the cycle would begin anew. Lines descending into the deep, halibut striking, fillets cleaned and stacked, skin and bones separated, organs preserved, and the endless rhythm of the sea continuing to challenge and sustain them.